Happy Saturday, December 10th. I am William. This is the Sci-Fi Center Live. This is our overnight show brought to you by the Sci-Fi Center itself and the Poindexter Lounge. I am here to shepherd you from Saturday, December 10th, well on into Saturday, December 11th. For those of you on the East Coast, you are pretty much already there. And those of you in the Midwest, you're on your way there. By the time we are wrapped up, we'll all be there. Let's see. Say hi to my chat that's in there. Hold on. How you doing, H-Bars? What's going on? Michelle, hope everything's going good with you and the baby. Larry, what's going on, man? Poindexter versus Restored. Yeah, I don't think it ever ceased. Camelback. We'll get into some of that. Like I said, we've had a lot of reporting from the trades this week that really did nothing more than add anxiety and confusion to the fandom. And I just once again will ask every fan out there to take everything with a grain of salt and use your own common sense. They may not be lying to you, but they don't tell you enough truth to keep you from jumping over the ledge. They tell you the trades are basically like drug dealers. They give you just enough to remain an addict. And since we are in culture that is starved for information, that's all they give you. They give you enough to go through withdrawals and want more again. But in the meantime, the fandom feeds on itself based on bullshit. So we'll get around to that. How you doing, Protest? I am doing okay. All right. So let's see. Where do I want to start? Yeah, maybe I will start with the trades. So, like I said, if you watched the show, we've been on several times throughout the week. And just basically when these things were printed out, 2 days in a row, we had things coming out. The first day was about what was supposedly going on in James Gunn's mind as far as what his plans were for DC. And people read the headlines and they read some of the article, and then they ran out of whatever installation that they read it in with their hair and their hands both on fire, spreading bullshit and misinformation throughout the entire fandom and basically just getting a lot of blood pressures up without a lot of context. And if you were to read these articles, and we went well into them like 2 nights ago in detail, and I think there was about 10 or 15 instances where we either had words like hypothetical, possibly, maybe, rumored to be. And when you have to use those as a cornerstone of your article, you basically put something out there for somebody to click on. And that is the era that these trades are in right now. Decades and decades ago, these magazines like Rolling Stone, New Yorker, or Hollywood Trade, or even Deadline, some of the newest ones, before the rise of the internet, there was so much more structure when it came to the kind of news that they put out. Some of the stuff that these guys put out today would have gotten them fired 20 years ago. All right, the hit job, the Rolling Stone hit job would have gotten that writer dismissed, and not only dismissed, no credible news outlet would have picked that person up again because it was a clear hit job. But because these legendary trades are now competing with the speed and desire of the internet and our appetites to have this stuff shoved between our ears and down our throats within seconds of anything happening, it's no longer the goal to be accurate and to be complete. The goal is now to get it out there first. TMZ used to be the only ones that were like that. TMZ did not matter how raunchy things were. They just put it out there. But now they have, they're the pioneers. So if you can't put out a story that has any substance, put out something that may not be a lie, but there's not enough truth there for me to even, click on the headline when it comes up on my phone. Yet the entire world went crazy over these articles, and they continue to do that. Every time Deadline, Hollywood Reporter, or Variety prints something, doesn't mean it could be ducks float on the water. I guarantee you, people are going to read 25% of it, and then they're going to go hatcheting through their universes with it. And like I said, it ends up pushing people to the brink because a lot of people take this stuff seriously, too seriously. And be honest with you, it just ends up adding to the garbage sphere that's already out there. We already have, because of the rise of a lot of different outlets, people who are not necessarily qualified to give you the news. All right, let's just put it plain out there. Not everybody, including myself, that sits in front of a camera and is able to afford a microphone is qualified to give you the news in the manner to where it is credible. But we've all now ascended to this same level, whereas the trades used to be on a level that was supposed to be much higher than just some hack that could get behind the camera. Now I get as much misinformation and or non-information from them as I do get misinformation from the hacks. So one side's not lying to me, but they're not giving me really enough to really put anything together, but whatever they want you to perceive. The other side is outright lying and just trying to make it so that somebody responds to their video, or maybe somebody will tag them, in response to it. Nothing in between that is news. There is no truth in between any of that. The only truth we have at this point is going to be the people who are running this show, regardless of who it is. The owners of the company or the people who they put in charge will show you their hand because they need you to know what their hand is. All right, James Gunn needs us to get excited for what he's doing long before he puts pen to paper. There is no waiting until the movie comes out to get hyped up about DC Universe. If we're waiting for the movies to come out to be hyped about DCU, you're already the first step down the path of failure. All right. The only way this is going to work is if they get us hyped up. Now, we also had the hard reboot nonsense going on. And whether this is going to end up being true or not, when you're reading it on an article, you should not be running with hard reboot out the door unless you plan on keeping the door open and just running your head into it. Because you bring up more questions than anything. Now, if there's going to be a hard reboot, why am I going to care about Aquaman, Shazam, The Flash, Blue Beetle? Why would I get on the road to nowhere? So if you put maybe a little bit of common sense in there, probably not going to do this hard reboot that people are thinking of. That's just my guess based on what's wondering. Otherwise, you wrote off Batgirl because it didn't meet your standards. Why are you're going to put these movies in? And the moment people realize that it's all going to be worth nothing, they're not going to go see it, especially with HBO Max right there. If they're inclined to give it at least 15 minutes, they can do it on their subscription. So something tells me that these people aren't stupid enough to waste 4 movies. So we'll have to wait and see. But right now, the only real relevant news source for any of this stuff is James Gunn and or Peter Safran when he decides to get a Twitter page or decides to engage with us. But until then, it's him and everybody else is bullshit. All right? It's like somebody going out and giving you news about me, William, and spreading, across the atmosphere that William is this, William is that, or William is planning on doing that. The only voice that matters is mine. If I get up on Twitter or if I get up on Facebook and email and say, you know what, that's not true, then that's it. That should end that. But like I said, I think these movie companies and these studios, and it doesn't have to be James Gunn, it doesn't have to be Feige, it doesn't have to be the top guy, but there needs to be a guy. Like I said when I was on Nicotina's show a couple hours ago, the president of the United States puts out information every day, but you don't see him every day. You see the press secretary. There's a press briefing every day at the White House. And the president's intentions are put out there. And that's what all these companies need, whether it be Disney, whether it be Marvel Studios, whether it be Lucasfilm, whether it be DC Studios. Every one of these guys needs somebody engaging on a normal basis with their fans. Now, I'm not saying respond to tweets and necessarily get into all that all the time, but you should be able to put out base information on a regular enough basis to where a lot of this stuff just goes away. With 2 or 3 words from the person that actually matters could silence a lot of these knuckleheads from scooper all the way up to the trade. Because to be honest with you, in my opinion, the trades, the lack of information and lack of context in the articles they put out do far more damage than some of these YouTubers and some of these scoopers and some of these people on Twitter, because these guys have the credibility of decades that came before them, and they have a far larger reach than anybody else. And when they put it out there, people will use their reputation and apply it and say, you know what, I can trust this source. This is gospel. And when in fact we can, we've had literally within the last 7 days, uh, things that are either half true, not true, or still in discussion. When James Gunn has to come out and say that in response to a story that was put out, that some of it was true and that's fine, but there should never be some of it's not true or some of it's half true or some of it's undecided. That means you did a shitty job in putting out your information. All right, you wouldn't basically that means three-quarters of your article really shouldn't have been out there. And we're never going to know what's true because he didn't specify. But all I needed to know from the horse's mouth is that some of it wasn't true. And then I'm going to disengage from that article. And be honest with you, I'm not going to take that source very seriously again. We're in the internet age. The people, if they want you to have information, they'll put it out in their way. And I'm happy that a lot of these guys are starting to bypass these, credible sources and these credible outlets, because a lot of them have agendas. A lot of studios sometimes use these companies to put out agendas, and that can't be trusted. And it doesn't matter whether they're saying something you don't want to hear or something you don't want to hear. My advice is to take it with a grain of salt either way. If one of these trades or high-end, YouTube pages says, this thing you've been asking for and waiting for is going to happen, take it with a grain of salt. Probably don't believe it. If they tell you that the sky is falling and this person's gone, that person's gone, take it with that same grain of salt. Don't believe it until you hear it from a credible source. And right now, the only credible source for DC Films, DC Studios news is James Gunn. That's not even arguable. The only credible source for DC Studios upcoming stuff is James Gunn. Everybody else is just at the bottom of the bird cage, hoping the big bird drops some crumbs for them to survive on. So yeah, that's where I am with the trades. So, and I'm going to remain consistent with when it comes to the trades. I just don't hold them in the high regard that I grew up with. My opinion. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Let me get back to the chat, because without my co-pilots here, I have a bad habit of falling behind. All right, Larry, definitely too much nonsense to know what's going on, but enough of getting triggered and demand, enough to get triggered and demand what's next. And like I said, right now, guys, embrace the not knowing. All right. I mean, I grew up in an era where you had to find out things as they happened. And I know that sounds old school, but be honest with you, part of me is having a little bit of fun knowing that I can let my mind wander and let them do the heavy lifting for now. See, with the previous regime, we knew what was out there. We knew what the plans were, and we knew that the plans were getting screwed up. We're in a special place now to where all we have to do is sit back and consume. So let me make sure that I'm all right. I just want to make sure before I bring data and we're caught up. Yeah, by the way, guys, if I disappear, my internet tonight where I'm at is suspect because we're having some issues. So if I disappear off your screen, the data will keep the show running. All right. So my question was, my mother took me to the salon today. I got my hair and my nails and my makeup done. I got home, and when my husband saw, he choked on his Guinness. Okay, that tells me you look good. I'd say congratulations. Anytime you can add spice to the relationship, make more babies. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, what's going on, dude? What is that hat say? Is that a Joker?
Yep.
Wow, that's a gruesome looking hat.
Hey, first of all, to Larry Kwartowitz, our prayers may be answered about Dark Tower. What's his name? Mike Flanagan now has the rights for the Dark Tower series, and he's going to Amazon with it. So, and he's got Stephen King's backing. So I just wanted to let you know that.
I didn't see that. $6 super. Okay, that's real quick. All right, and now it's flashing up. All right, someone who's mutual friends with Gunn, and just from seeing his stuff, I can safely say that he's only going to do what he wants and he thinks is best, keeping what worked before, aka good news. And like I said, I've already embraced the reality that I'm not going to get everything I wanted. I'm all right with that. But once again, I will say this over and over again, and it might sound cliche. I will put down my raggedy toy that I've been chewing on for the last 5 years. If you bring me a nice, cool, shiny one with lights, glowing lights, and makes noise and stuff like that, give me something. Everybody's been telling people to move on for all these years, but giving them nothing to move on to. If you give me something kick-ass to move on to, I'm all in. I would rather there not be a reboot. I think reboots are silly. I think reboots are a lazy way out, and they are a word. Reboot is a word that is just thrown around without people, understanding the consequences and the aftermath of what reboots do on all levels, no matter what medium you're talking about. And somebody was telling me, I was hoping RJ would get in here because he bought something up in Nicotina. He was basically saying the general fan, doesn't care about DC to where a reboot wouldn't hurt. I'm going to go ahead and say that's not true, and here's why. When let's say that you are a comic book movie fan, you're just a casual, you're not the geek wearing the Shazam t-shirt, and I do have it on under here, guys, so I am in uniform. But you are just a casual fan. Right? Am I echoing? Or is that? I shouldn't be echoing, but I can hear myself. But you're just a casual fan that goes to these movies. All right, you're not one of the 2 or 3%. You're not part of the Nerd Factory. You're not on YouTube. You're not on Twitter. You've seen all the DC movies, right? And you've seen all the Marvel movies. One of those companies gave you a quality finish and a quality resolution. The other one didn't. That alone is damaging. That alone hurts your brand because it puts you in a perception that the other brand that followed through is superior than the one that did not. And when when the decision to spend your money comes down to those two, as far as a medium to long-term investment, as far as what you're going to follow, the one that has followed through is going to probably be the one that gets the money. And they don't have to be on Twitter. They don't have to be hashtagging. They don't have to be boycotting to know that they spent money on something and it didn't finish, that there was no resolution. And the art of the counter argument that I've heard around the web was that, well, once we start announcing a new Superman, people are going to get excited. Yeah, once we start starting, people always get excited about a new Batman, a new this, new that. Yeah, initially they will get excited until they remember how excited they were for the last Superman or the last Batman. And then they'll remember how they were left, wanting with that. They won't make a lot of noise. They won't throw anything up against the wall. They'll just simply not engage. They will just simply they will quietly make a different choice. And even though that doesn't sound exciting in the blowing fire that everybody else does, it is far more devastating. What I just laid out, the scenario I laid out, is devastating, because what that means is you are so inept and you put out such infrequent content that your customer that was willing to engage with you, your casual customer, has grown away from you. You know how bad you have to be for somebody who was willing to give you the benefit of the doubt to just basically approach you with apathy? So yeah, the general audience will understand what a reboot is, and they will disengage in a different way than we do, but they will still disengage, or at least the risk is that they will disengage. What do you think about all this reboot madness, Thade? Can you hear me, or am I frozen?
I had a Jor-El moment. I had myself muted.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh no. Go ahead and
you're muted, Jor-El. You're muted, Jor-El. I'm joking. Anyway, I will say this. If the rumors about the Patty Jenkins Wonder Woman was true, then good God, let's be glad that didn't happen. The Wonder Woman 30.
Yeah.
Because she's just going back to Steve Trevor again. And that just proves that woman has a thing for either Chris Pine or the character of Steve Trevor. Okay. As for whether this is going to be a reboot or not, well, James said that it not entirely. The problem here lately is the Hollywood trades have been a problem. They're starting to sound worse than the damn scoopers. And James Gunn said the other day, he said about the article on Hollywood Reporter, part of it's true, part of it's a lie. Some of it we're just not sure yet. And a lot of people have problems with Gunn right now, and a lot of it's bullshit. And all I'm going to say is this: I trust the man. He makes good movies. Let's just see what happens. I mean,
yeah.
Right now, I'm on the position of, like you said, give me a shiny toy to play with. Bring me something. Wow me. Okay, give me a wow factor. That's all I'm looking for. I'm looking for the wow factor. You want to bring me back to DC completely? Give me a wow factor. Okay? Because I checked out on DC. I gave up on it. So give me the wow factor. And keep in mind what I'm about to say, I don't mean make it exactly like Marvel, but give me something like Marvel does. Marvel wows me. It catches my attention. Catch my attention.
Yeah. And there was a time where they were at equal footing to where when you first started with DCU, people were wowed, and nobody explained to the casual fan why they didn't get Superman again, why they got a jammed up Justice League. Nobody explained to the casual fan, and they just left. They didn't get mad. They didn't join the Restore the Snyderverse movement. They just went on to other things.
They just went away. They walked off.
Yeah, and that's awful. But thank you for the super chat, Larry. The Poindexter Lounge, and we appreciate that around here.
We have a second one from Larry as well.
I'm going to find it right now.
Yeah, it's 2 up from the bottom.
Got him. All right, Larry. I'm going to jam up. I'm just going to call you Larry. I always try to pronounce, because in the Army we always had crazy names. Sometimes your name's not crazy, but we had names that I just could not pronounce, and I made myself, because I had to be the one to call them up in roll call, and I hated saying like Corporal K or something like that. I always tried, because your parents, that's your parents' name, that's your hereditary. I always try. I'm going to try it again.
Did you make Sergeant?
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yep. I moved my flag. So Larry Quartowitz. Larry, let me know if in the chat if I've jammed that up. But Quartowitz. All right, Larry. I'm so happy about Dark Tower. I can't even express it. And Thade, I thought of you as soon as I heard that news, because you restored my faith weeks ago. Screw both of you guys.
And keep in mind, Larry, I was right.
Oh my God. Okay.
When I said Mike Flanagan, I was right.
Do me a favor, whoever's handling Dark Tower. All right. If you're watching this show right now.
It's Mike Flanagan. I trust Mike Flanagan. Have you seen Midnight Mass?
Yeah.
Great stuff. Have you seen Haunting of Hill House? Great stuff.
Change the ending. Ending.
He's going to. He's working with Stephen King on it.
Okay. Stephen King, that ending that you gave me in that book, awful.
You just don't like the cyclical aspect of it. Remember, Ka is a wheel, William. Ka is a wheel.
It's a 36-year-long wheel. All right. That is a 36-year-long wheel. You don't take people on that kind of wheel. That story spans what? 5 decades? No. It goes from 1976 all the way up 3 decades, all the way up until 2004, 2005 was when did the actual last book come out?
2007.
Okay, 2010. That's a lifetime. For you to give me that 1982 Atari ending?
Okay, here you go. I've got an article on this, by the way, if you don't mind me sharing it.
Go ahead. Can you share it to me?
Yeah, I'm on my computer now, William.
Oh, okay.
Check this out. Oh, first of all, before I do this, check this out. It's my workstation.
Oh, neato.
Hey, look, my Bluetooth speaker's a Millennium Falcon.
Oh, good. Am I going to have to rob you too? Jeez, guys, my goodness.
Oh, dude, you said you had one of the Elgato stream boards?
Yeah, I got the 15 key.
Yeah, you and I are going to have to learn how to use that together, because I got one.
Yeah, and I've had a disastrous time because somebody told me that it doesn't do much for StreamYard, so I tried OBS and I tried to use Streamlabs, and I'm too stupid for either of those. So guess what? I'm gonna have to do what I can do with it for StreamYards. Because it's I guess it's designed for best use with OBS or Streamlabs, and I've tried those two formats, and either I just don't have the patience or I'm a dummy. It could be both. It could be both.
Yeah, you and I are gonna have to get together on StreamYards one afternoon and like just play with this stuff.
Yeah, we got to get back to doing Sci-Fi Center Presents anyway. So
yeah, I got one of them little stream boards that does the sound effects and stuff too, and one of them little light boards.
have you been using it? Have you been playing around with StreamYards with it, or?
Yeah, I tried to play around with it the other day, and
does it engage with StreamYards as much as it kind of is it worth it? Because I haven't played with it yet. I haven't even bought it here to mess around with it.
Yeah, here you go. Here's one of the sound effects.
Okay, that one will get us canceled, but that is cool. What about visuals? What does it do on visuals?
My visuals are coming through my camera. It looks like my camera looks like one of those, like a tripod from War of the Worlds.
But does it allow you to put the visuals? Like, can we be putting visuals and stuff? Does it make it easier to transition videos into what we're watching? Like, say if you wanted to show me a picture of Yogi Bear, could you like bring it up with just the stream? Or do you? Because I know the hotkeys is what allows it to work.
I think I can. I think I can do that. I haven't worked on that yet, but I think it also works with like when we do the Stream Deck thing. You route the Stream Deck through everything, and you can do that.
Yeah, I did watch a tutorial for StreamYard. So, like I said, I'm too stupid for those other formats, but I think I am going to engage with it now. But yeah, as far as the Dark Tower goes, yeah, please change that ending. That ending was awful. But let's see, I went all the way down. I skipped a bunch of people.
Now, by the way, that article is waiting down there.
Okay, I see it. I just want to get some of these guys in before I dive into it.
Yes, H. Bartz, he is. And I will say that because I shared a comment in the backstage chat for Point Extra Lounge. James Gunn says he wants to work with Cavill.
Yeah, and I did, and nothing is said to contrary. I mean, and he also reiterated that Superman is a very high priority. He said it might be the highest priority. So I'm just waiting. I'm not gonna do the whole, oh my God, it's Guy swallowing thing. So
besides Cavill, Cavill wouldn't have announced that he was back as Superman if it wasn't going to happen. And like William had said before, they backed him up. They validated him. So,
and by the way, here's something that's been driving me crazy the last couple of days. But that was before Gunn and Safran were announced. All right, people, seriously. I think that my audience is smart. I think that the Poindexter Lounge's audience is smart. I give the general public the benefit of the doubt for not being fucking dummies. Do you think that the day we found out that Safran and Gunn were going to be the heads of DC Studios, so that was the first day that everybody else found out? Are you seriously thinking that they didn't know what was going on? That even that anything that we hear about at the bottom of the birdcage has already been resonated throughout the entire company? Do you think that they didn't know about any of this stuff, or they didn't have an inkling of what was going on? Do you think that the interview to give them the job happened 24 hours in that who's am I echoing, or is that you?
That was my dog, sorry.
No, I heard my own voice again echoing, and unless your dog is talking, that's hilarious.
You tried the other day on the microphone.
With my voice, that would be scary. But listen, these things that we find out are already in the works, probably even months in advance. Even after the Lynn thing fell apart, that probably fell apart weeks before we knew about that. And this is when Gunn and Safran were bought in. And if they shot that cameo in September, trust me when I tell you that Gunn and Safran were already either tabbed for those positions and are doing some heavy interviews on that positions, and were probably in the sidecar when some of these decisions were being made. It doesn't make any sense that even if they weren't officially inked to the job and they started on November 1st, that the company that was hiring them would push forward with something that they knew that they would have to pull back. So based on just my own inkling and common sense, I think that Cavill is very much in the plans. Now, if Gunn comes out and tells me, no, we're moving in a different direction, then guess what? I will adjust that fire to what the horse's mouth has said. But until I hear from them, none of this makes any sense. None of this, it's all over stuff, makes any sense until you fill in the gaps of the information. I don't know. There could be gaps in the information that I'm not seeing right now that could mean the end for everything. But this article didn't put that out, and he hasn't put that out. He hasn't put out anything. And all this fire James Gunn shit. For what? He hadn't even done anything yet. He hasn't even produced one thing yet. He hasn't said shit about what he's capping off or what he's doing. He hasn't said anything. So what am I firing him for? There's a whole bunch of people that need to go or should have gone in all these companies before James Gunn has. Now, if 18 months from now I don't like where it's going, guess what? I have a decision as a customer to step back and not watch it again or disengage. All right. That is the power of all this is up to us once he produces it, but let him produce it first. I mean, I see movements and that's dumb. You're firing a guy. We won. We got these other clowns are gone. So now we got a good guy, or what I think is a solid person in here. It can't be just unless you're going to do exactly what's in my head. I'm not the storyteller. Leave yourself open to, and heaven forbid you enjoy yourself with something he gives you. And if it sucks, then don't watch it. Listen, James Gunn, if you put out something that I don't like, as the customer, I'm not gonna buy anymore. But I gotta at least give you that chance to lay this out. Fire James Gunn. Right, come on. That's the kind of shit that makes us look real dumb. You know what I mean?
They're still sticking on that Twitter shit from 10 years ago and the pedo parties and everything. What people don't realize is that pedo party thing was a trauma party that, Trauma's always, he worked for Trauma. Trauma was always edgy, and they were doing edgy parties back then. And
we've done stuff with Trauma here.
Regardless of whether you think those parties you think that was a pedo themed party, dude, it was an adult party with adults at the party. No child was hurt at those parties. It doesn't matter what the theme of the party is. Okay. There is nobody coming forward accusing him of anything. There's nobody.
There's no assaults. There's no
assault. There's nobody ever been publicly convicted. I mean, the people that have this energy for hitting Gunn up on the pedo thing, where's that energy for Jared Leto? You know what I'm saying?
And a lot of that, like I said,
he was actually
context of all this. By the way, given to me by Lloyd Kaufman himself in person.
Yes,
my Trauma diploma. Literally, I had him on my stage, and he was doing Q&A. And I was filming his Q&A, and while I'm doing the Q&A, he hands me that while I'm filming him. It was kind of cool. I hope to have him out here this later on this winter too. So and he'll be on the show. In fact, we've had him on the show, but if we can get him out to Vegas, he'll be sitting next to me. Hopefully, if we can get that done.
Theory, Jared Leto has had actual allegations.
All right, Hunter Iggy, long time no see.
Jared Leto right now, so.
All right. Well, this is something we addressed a couple weeks back. William, what is your thought? What are your thoughts on Jason David Frank took his own life? We did an entire show the night that this happened, and then we followed up on it. Anytime that somebody, that young, that full of life, feels the need to take his own life, and that is just for every famous person that we know that is going through that, there are thousands, even millions of people going through that very same thing. And it just sucks that he found himself in a place that he didn't think he could get out of. And it shocked me. I know, and actually, it shocked his wife because I remember when I first found out about it, everybody was going after his wife and sending her hate mail and everything else because she had served him with divorce papers. And then to find out that, yeah, they served with separation papers, but after that they decided to reconcile. And
Yeah.
that the night he took his own life, they were on a retreat to get things back together to try to take it back. And she had gone out to get something to eat and like that, and they were going to come back and eat. And that's when he decided. So even though these things were going on, we don't know what triggered him to do that. And that's the thing. And that's why we spent about an hour, almost 2 hours that evening, just letting people know, keep an eye on the people around you. There are certain signs and that, even if you're not qualified to help them, you can be that bridge to the people who can. But changes in attitude, things like that. I mean, just understand the weight of life itself. And for the people who are having these issues, there's nothing wrong with going and get yourself fixed. There's nothing that demasculates you you're not any less of a man for going out and getting help. So yeah, we did that on the night of, and it was devastating. But go ahead.
Coming from a past of having suicidal ideation myself, you never know what's going through a person's head, and things could be going great. You could be on top of the world, and something just off causes you to have these feelings, these thoughts, And I remember with my own self, I had a great career, wife and kids, and I still felt helpless, and it can happen. It can happen to people with just normal thoughts going on. Like one never knows. So you really do need to check on your loved ones. Make sure if somebody's acting even slightly off, be sure to talk to them. And even if it's just telling them, "Hey, I love you. I'm here for you." If you need to talk, it's like William said a few weeks ago. If it looks like one of our friends on Twitter is talking kind of off or whatever, we always offer the, "Hey, we're here for you. We, talk to us."
And if you're the person who's going through it, you check yourself at the same time. Because you might be hiding it from the people around you really well, but the only person that knows what's going on is you. And at that point, you're the person that really needs to do the one to listen. There's somebody out there, no matter what kind of day that you're having. All right, there's somebody out there who's gone through it and has come out on the other side. And there's a bunch of people sitting next to a phone, not a rotary phone, but sitting next to a phone or sitting next to a computer chat room that have gone through it and they've come out of the other side, and they can help bring you there too.
Hey guys, look, here's the thing. I put my Twitter out there in the chat. If you guys need to talk to somebody, you need to even just drop a message. I will always answer my messages. It may not be right immediately as you send it, but I will always answer my messages. If you need somebody to talk to, hey man, I'm there. Send me a message on Twitter, say, "Hey man, I need to talk." I'll reach out to you. We'll talk. Okay.
Or with me, I will put you in touch with somebody that can, like I said, that can bring you to the finish line the right way. I mean, somehow, some way, if I'm up and you reach out to me, and you reach out to any of us, we're gonna put you in contact with somebody who can, like I said, who has been through it. Every one of these guys on most of these guys that are on these lines, on these hotlines, they're there because somebody helped them, and they're paying it back. So you're not talking to somebody who's patronizing you. For the most part, you're talking to somebody who's been through it, who can sit there and tell you, "Yeah, dude, that fucking sucks, but I'm here. I came through it." So yeah, the Jason David Frank thing, it's bad. And like I said, it's just a long list of people who've taken their lives who you thought had everything. The Chris Cornell thing, I knew he had depression issues, but I thought he was over them. Anthony Bourdain, like we brought up that night, Anthony Bourdain was the one that hit me right in the balls. That really shocked me because this was a guy that spread wisdom, and I thought he was, happy where he was. And then when I watched Roadrunner, which is, behind his life, behind his, the scenes about him, I realized how depressed he was and how, wanting he was. And it just sucked. So, all right, Hunter Iggy. Yeah, so that's the one we answered. Thade, yes. I see somebody screaming yes to you, Thade.
Yes, that was about the Dark Tower thing.
Okay, yeah, okay. Change the ending. Fun. Yeah. If they're planning a hard reboot, do you think they should just cancel all the movies coming up? If they were, I mean, I think it's going to be a disaster if they put out all these movies. And like I said, you let somebody know that there's going to be a hard reboot. the fact that they're putting these movies out and they're going to be spending lots of money to promote them tells me that that they're not doing the type of reboot everybody's traditionally talking about. All right, off topic. Dude, we're already we spend the whole damn show off topic. Off topic, but did you see Apple's TV Plus is going to do a Hannibal Barker show? No, I did not. Did you hear anything about that?
I had heard about it. Of course, Hannibal being the one who crossed the Alps with the elephants and everything, very very influential.
I didn't know elephants in Silence of the Lambs.
Not Silence of the Lambs, William.
He ate an elephant? He ate a whole elephant?
He also ate people.
Wow, dude, I'm behind.
No, he's talking about the Carthaginian general from history.
Oh, okay. Not Lecter or not. Well, wait a minute. He had a van. He had a red van with a red stripe on it. There were no elephants when I saw him. I mean, I know I'm old, but damn. Larry, William, I know you don't love the ending, but let's celebrate together, baby.
Dark Tower, right. 5 seasons.
What Stephen King needs to come out and tell me is that ending, forget about that. And if once he says that, I'm on. But if I go 5 years, and I get to the end, and I get that kind of ending again, I might destroy whatever apparatus I'm watching it on. So, Chappie, what's going on? Yeah, you can say hi to Chappie. How you doing? Marvel does deliver, yeah, and DC has all the capabilities to do that. Spider-Man No Way Home was a great. That wasn't a well, okay, yeah. But see how they did that? They didn't reboot, they reset the circumstances. So everything that happened before was relevant, and everything that's happened forward is relevant. That's kind of the thing I kind of want to see them cleverly do with DC. I don't want the last 9 years to be wasted and unfulfilled. So yeah, I hope. And James Gunn's a smart guy. James Gunn is a smart guy. Let me bring up this article too before I forget, and I'll let you read it. Add to stream. Do we have to? There we go. And let's get that out of there. All right. What am I reading? Oh, you got it. You control it from there, can't you? Okay.
So this is from Variety. The Dark Tower TV series in the works from The Haunting creator Mike Flanagan. Says The Haunting of Hill House and Midnight Mass creator Mike Flanagan and his producing partner Trevor Macy have acquired the rights to adapt Stephen King's The Dark Tower into a TV series. Flanagan and Macy revealed the news Thursday in an interview with Deadline, which dove more into the pair's recent decision to move their Intrepid Pictures from Netflix to Amazon. Predating our deal with Amazon, we acquired the rights to The Dark Tower, which, if you know anything about me, you know it's been my holy grail of a project for most of my life, Flanagan said. We actually have those rights carved out of our Amazon deal, which doesn't mean that they can't or won't get behind it at some point. You don't know. But that's something we've been developing ourselves and are really passionate about, finally getting it up on its feet at some point. Amazon previously had the rights to Dark Tower themselves and were working on a project that only made it to pilot phase. Those rights lapsed, and Flanagan and Macy picked them up before setting their new pact with Amazon, which was announced December 1st. Variety has confirmed that the Dark Tower project has carved out of Flanagan and Macy's new deal at Amazon, although sources say that that doesn't necessarily mean the series won't end up on the Prime Video, just that others do have a shot at it as well. Flanagan says he envisions his adaptation of The Dark Tower, for which he's already written a pilot script, as a 5-season show, with 2 standalone feature films as follow-ups. And yes, he has spoken with King himself about plans for the adaptation, which is far from the first time Hollywood has tried to bring King's work to the screen. And most recently, the most recent being 2017 film starring Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey. Wow. This happened because I sent him a very, very detailed outline of what I wanted to do with it, Flanagan said, and it was in response to that he gave us the rights. A project like this, I wouldn't want to be involved in at all if we were taking it in a direction that was going to be blasphemous to the Stephen King material, but he's been very supportive and very excited about what we'd like to do with it. Intrepid Pictures was previously under an overall deal to Netflix. While there, the company put out multiple hit shows in the horror genre, including both of The Haunting of Hill House and Haunting of Bly Manor, as well as Midnight Mass and Midnight Club. Flanagan was creator of the first 3 of the aforementioned series and co-creator of the 4th. Macy executive produced them all. Flanagan and Macy still have at least one project coming out on Netflix, the limited series followed The House of Usher. That series will be a modern retelling of the titular Edgar Allan Poe story while also drawing on other Poe works. At the time of this publishing, it does not yet have a premiere date. Intrepid has also produced a number of feature films. Those include Dr. Sleep, a follow-up to The Shining, and based on Stephen King's book of the same name. Others include Hush, Before I Wake, and Gerald's Game. Gerald's Game, which is also a King adaptation. Flanagan directed, neither wrote or co-wrote all of those films with Macy producing. So basically, what this is saying is they've written a pilot for it. He's got ideas for 5 seasons and a couple of videos to back up, a couple of movies to back up. Yes, Mighty Rex. It could confirm that every Stephen King adaptation from Flanagan shares continuity. It could, but not entirely sure. But Mike Flanagan's really good with horror, so I entirely trust that Mike Flanagan will have his hands in a good way around this Dark Tower thing. And it's, I feel Flanagan on this one. This is something that if I had made it to being a filmmaker, I would have tried to do. Dark Tower is one of my favorite things that Stephen King ever put out, and with the exception of that ending in book 7, everything made me happy.
And that's the hard part about it, is that it was that good. The lead up, the previous books were excellent. All the associated books were excellent. I mean, and then if it had been crappy, I would have been like, what, I'm just going with the motions. I'll read book 7. It wasn't crappy. Everything about the Dark Tower was kick ass. Even the things that were not Dark Tower 1 through 7 that were around Dark Tower were cool. And most of that book, to be honest with you, most of that book of 7 was cool. Didn't those last maybe 70 pages? And I'm like, okay, we're going down a road. I really am going to be pissed off. Please get better in these next 70 some odd pages. And when it didn't, yeah.
And so, yes, Toronto, William does need to pay attention to that. Mike Flanagan was associated with the Dr. Sleep movie. He got it made, and he changed the ending of the novel for Dr. Sleep. So that's food for thought for you, William, about him changing the end of Dark Tower.
I'm liking it already. Oh, okay. I'm jumping all over the chat because I got a little bit behind. William Powell. It's weird hearing my first and last name. William Powell, if you had a time machine, what would you do to James? This is going to be a universal answer to anybody who we've ever lost to suicide. I would, dude. I may not. I would see if I could get there and sit with you and make sure you don't do anything to yourself till we can get you somewhere to help. All right, I would make sure that you had all the support in the world. I would make sure that we had 10, 20 people there sitting around holding hands with you, and most of them would have gone through you've gone through. And if you were in that environment and you saw that there's the other side to this, maybe you would have made a different decision. Since we don't know exactly what triggered them, that's all I can do. And we don't know exactly what triggers every single person that does this. So the only thing I could do if I had a TARDIS or a time machine was get there before, if not the moment of, but even before then, to let that person know that they matter. Let that person's family members know, hey, this is up, this is what's going on, and make sure that person, has someone to talk to, so that if he or she ever finds himself in that lonely moment, they have something to build on. I mean, it's a cruel. I understand your question, but it's a cruel reality that we don't have a time machine and we're left guessing after it's over. It's just kind of sucks, but that's what I would do. What would you do, Thane?
I would just let them know that, hey, I'm here for you, man. You need to talk, like I did earlier. Look, I've been there. I've attempted suicide a couple of times. I'm not there with that anymore. Let me just say that. I'm perfectly solid now, so no worries. But I've been there, man. I know how it is, and I don't care who you are. Even if I dislike you, I will talk you through that going on in your life, because that is just not something you never.
It's bigger than just There's things that you just put aside when it comes to somebody's life. You know what I mean?
Never take a temporary solution to never take a permanent solution to a temporary problem, is all I'm saying. And, anything can be worked through, even if you don't entirely get what you want. Anything can be worked through.
Sometimes it's just a conversation.
Sometimes you just need somebody to talk to, And furthermore, to all of you out there that might have these talks in the future with people that you care about, don't hesitate to say something that's on your heart to say. You never know when something you say might save a life. And you really, don't hold back if it's something that needs to be said, especially if it's in a helpful way. I mean, don't savage a person that's in that situation. But like, if you feel on your heart you need to say something to somebody, by all means say it, even if it seems off to you at the time. Because like I said, you never know when you might save a life.
Okay. I did not read Doctor Sleep, but I did see the movie. I stopped reading Stephen King books after The Stand because I'm like, you know what? Eventually, before I leave this planet, everything this man has ever done is going to be made into a movie. And guess what? The year that I finished The Stand, 1994 is when I finished it. That's when they put out that really kick-ass miniseries with Gary Sinise as Randall Flagg. And I read when I read, actually, no, the last book after that I read as far as Stephen King's was book 7. But The Stand, I think, was a great story. But I read the unabridged version, the 1100 page version, and I'm like, oh my goodness, he just spent 7 pages describing literally a wall, another 8 pages describing the winding of a road. I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't need that. So yeah, I stopped reading Stephen King's books for the most part, and then when I went on deployment in 2004 is when I read book 7. And thank God I was in a desert far, far away, because you would not hear my angst and pissed offness about that, boy. All right, let's see. I'm looking forward to Salem's Lot remake. That looks creepy. I've seen some of the stuff from that. Salem's Lot. There's no way to do a non-creepy version. You have to not try to not creep people out about Salem's Lot, which is great. All right, super chat from Larry. Remember to face your father's people based on the recent King adaptations. I have faith. It's Tower Time. Oh wow. Is that going to be the new saying? Dun, 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 Tower Time. Okay, that was too old for you guys. You don't know who MC Hammer is. Let's see. Film Goblin, what's going on? Hey William, I just have to disagree with you on doing a hard reboot as DCU as it stands has so much bandage. I think you mean baggage, but that's cool. John Campy even says this: a soft reboot is more damaging. No. And like I said, I hear it from guys at that level. But guys at that level, even though they are movie fans, they are on a stratosphere to where they don't think like the average guy does. They don't engage and disengage like a geek or an average person does. Movies to them are a different type of. I'm not saying anything less of their opinion, but the way they see these things are different than the way the average consumer. It's just what you are. It's like I don't look at the comic book industry or the toy industry the same way I do as a retailer and somebody who knows it well, like I did when I was out of the game completely. Your perspective is different. So their perspective, while I value it, is not what I would use as a sampling for what the regular average person does. Like I watched that show. I watched that exact same John Campia show where they use their examples, and their examples were horrible. Their examples were, like it's like I was telling you before, people get excited about this. They're going to get excited about a new Superman, and the baggage that you guys are talking about, that is not the stuff the general audience sees. What disengages the general audience is lack of productivity and lack of product. What disengages the audience is 5 years without Superman. That's not something a reboot's going to fix. The only way the way to fix 5 years without Superman is to get a Superman movie out. So okay, I gotta fix that echo. Hey, Dave, can you mute yourself real quick? I'm gonna talk and see if that's something wrong with the StreamYards. I'm just gonna try to figure this out while I answer this question. But yeah, there's pundits and then there's high-end YouTubers and the Grace Randolphs and the Robert Meyer Barnetts that are all going to say that, but you have to take it with a grain of salt, because look at the perspective that they're looking at this from. The average fan is not caught up in that baggage. The average fan goes away because lack of product in the frequency. When you release a Superman movie and you don't release a sequel, that's what hurts with the average fan. When you go 5 years without the oldest superhero on the planet, that's what hurts your brand as far as the average fan goes. The average fan is not, they're not involved in the Snyderverse. They're not involved with the hashtag this or that. The average fan just wants content, and where they've messed up is not giving it to them. Now, what would compound that mistake is not only have you not put out good content and you've not put out frequent content, add this to the problem. Now you want to start over again. All right. Not only did you not finish what you started, not only did you not follow through on the stuff that was good that people did like, you're going to restart now. Now, I don't have to be an insider. I don't have to be a YouTuber. I don't have to be a Twitter head. I don't have to be a critic. I don't have to be a John Campier or a great friend. I don't have to be any of those things to know that I was there at the beginning of this and it never ended. Now I'm confused. You're starting over again? Tell you what, I don't hate you, but there's this HBO Max thing. I will see you in 45 days. All right. That level of disengagement is far worse than any group of toxic fans. You can combine all the toxic DC fans that are out there, combine them, and the damage that the apathy of a reboot after unfulfilled run to begin with will do. The damage is far greater. All right. And you also got to realize that it's a disregard to people's time, both the hardcore geek like myself and the general audience. If this 10-year plan means you're starting over, I'm 48 years old. I will be closing in on 60. Me and Dave will be closing in on 60. Even if you're young, if you're in your 20s, you're closing in on 30. So you're investing your long-term time and energy into buying into this. Why am I going to trust you with this new thing when you never finished the old thing? And it doesn't take a geek like me to come to that conclusion. You know what? Like I said before, if I have a limited amount of money and one company has followed through and finished what they started and the other didn't and is now starting over again, who do you think is going to get my money if I'm on a fixed income? Who do you think is going to get my long-term investment? You know, if I got 2 kids and a mortgage and gas prices and everything else, and it's a chore just to get out of the house for a movie, who do you think I'm going to jump into the deep end with? The people who have not proven that they can finish something and all they can do is throw around the word reboot and let's start again, or the people that have finished what they started? The people who have followed through and given you the payoff. All right. That analogy right there, that difference right there is damaging. That is the baggage. The baggage is the laziness and the situation that will cause you to do a reboot. That's your baggage. All right. Not the stuff that came before, because the general audience, for the most part, they don't know because you haven't given them anything. These guys would go to the movies if you gave them a movie to see. You can't complain about Superman at the box office under Cavill because you haven't had him in the theater for 5 years. That's the baggage. You know, rebooting and starting over again and expecting people to trust you when they trust you with new money when they've seen what you did with the old money. That's your baggage. Not trying to realign things like that. I hear people say baggage. That's in their own heads for the most part. Yeah, there's been issues with DC, but there's nothing in DC that can be fixed. And I'm not saying that James Gunn should basically take on that and continue from that solely. But if you were going to transition into something, the best way to jump and get the highest height that you can get is if you're on solid ground. Finishing what was started, it doesn't need to take a long time, but some type of resolution, some type of transition would be a lot better than hitting a hard reset button, because you're guessing, you're hoping that people will trust you again. And why should they? You know, that's how I feel, Film Goblin. Mighty Rex, I hope so. Okay, that might have been you, Thade, because I haven't echoed since. Did you add something new? Or you have a new setup? It might be a settings issue, because I can hear it now. I can hear it squeaking in your background.
Oh, that might just be me moving is the thing.
Yeah, and I hear my voice echoing through you. It's a new setup. Trust me, I've been there. I've been. I talked you 3 hours to the wrong mic a couple of weeks ago, so don't worry about it.
I turned the echo all the way down. I don't
know. Yeah, because I can hear me when I didn't. But that whole time when you were muted, I couldn't hear me at all. So it might be just Justin said, "Well, we'll get it. Trust me, we got a lot of tech shit to figure out." All right. Hey, back. I wish I had my partner in crime with me tonight. See that? That just echoed.
Yeah, she's talking about Stella.
Yeah, I just echoed through you. So yeah, it's probably your settings. All right. We'll get it figured out, guys. Listen, these damn tech things. I went from being a non-streamer to a streamer, so I understand where he is. Stella isn't here tonight. Yeah, what the hell, Stella? What's she doing?
She wasn't feeling well this evening, so she's sleeping.
Partying.
No, sleeping.
All right, so let me get that off the screen. All right, I never thought about suicide in my life, but I hate the choice I made when I was 16 years old when my family was new to America, and I was so angry with my parents for. You know what? Kids get angry. I mean, you're allowed as a 16-year-old to be angry at your parents. That puts you in the same league as every other 16-year-old, American or not. Trust me, I was a 16-year-old. I've been here, you stayed, been there, thought wise, but never acted on it, and it helps me relate to anyone. Yeah, like I said, my military experience helps me because when these guys come back, the world is different. So it's a tough one. Hammer time. Yeah, hey, Toronto Freddy knows my reference. Damn it. Yeah, like I said, Michelle, you were 16. I don't know how old you are now, but you were 16 then. You were allowed. If they don't get that right, then they have to reboot. Like I said, here's the thing: we may end up with no other choice. All I'm saying is, before you hit that big red button, flip around with some of the other knobs and levers first. All right, see if this works over here. See if you can give yourself a credible resolution to everything we've been through. Because, like I said, with everybody saying, "Oh, they don't have to do that; they should just start all over." Put yourselves in the people who are watching from afar, watching you start all over, even if they weren't necessarily engaged. They know that your shit got so bad that you did not have the wherewithal to repair it. What's stopping it from ending up there again? All right. If you don't have a credible transition, an incredible resolution, new fan, old fan, geek or not geek, how do I stand on your product like a rock when I don't know if that rock is solid enough? Because all I've seen was you abruptly end things without resolving them. I mean, in the back of my head or in the forefront of my head, why you got to make an argument on why I should give you this money based on, even though it's not Gunn's history, it's still DC's history. Most of these laymen and people who are not geeks like us are not even going to know who James Gunn is to that level. All right. And I know some people who I talked to today who didn't even know James Gunn had taken over DC Films. So they're not gonna give him the alibi of being new to the company because it's going to be his decision to abruptly cut things. So, like I said, you got one product that is followed through, and I saw Jose in there. Yeah, Marvel hasn't wowed me. Trust me. Thor, none of the Thor movies wowed me. Avengers 2012 wowed me. They've entertained me. But even still, on their worst day, Marvel followed through on what they started. Marvel finished what they started. You don't know, you guys do not underestimate just how much goodwill that alone gets you. When you present a stable product that people can depend on, that's money. All right. Reboots do not present a stable product that people can depend on. Most reboots, and people don't realize this, most reboots, no matter what level and what medium of entertainment they are, most reboots fail. Most reboots fail for a number of reasons. Some of the reasons are it's an act of desperation. And whenever you do something out of an act of throwing up your hands in desperation, sometimes that's not the best decision. Sometimes it is. We'll have to see. You end up alienating enough people to where you never get the type of momentum you really need. And sometimes 1 or 2 million people could be the difference between you making a box office smash or making your money back and falling well below expectations. And another thing, when we talk about this reboot situation, most of the times, most of the reasons that they fail is because the people who back this stuff, the people who put forth the money, and the people whose legacies are on the line that are higher up than the studio heads, don't have time for it. I just told you why a general fan or a geek doesn't have time for it. The people laying down hundreds of millions of dollars who want a return on their investment don't have time for the pebble by pebble house that you're building with this reboot. They're going to wonder, well, why didn't we use what we had and salvage that? Even if your reboot is the right decision, you better sell it to people, because guess what? It takes time, even with the biggest superheroes. It takes time for people to gravitate towards a new actor or actress. All right. It takes time for them to let go, especially in this situation where not only are you doing a reboot, which the odds are against you succeeding, you're doing an intergenerational reboot, which means you still have a guy playing the character that's capable of playing the character for a while, and you're deciding to go a different route. Spider-Man is not a comparison, and people keep bringing that up because the MCU was already rolling before they recreated that Spider-Man in there. They didn't just recreate that Spider-Man on aside from anything else. And in the previous Spider-Man, it was 15 years. So Tom Holland's Spider-Man came while the Marvel machine was already up and running. So here you're talking about, possibly redoing an entire universe. It's just a lot of people involved. Everybody's going to say the right thing on the John Campea show. Everybody's going to say the right thing in chat rooms because, like I said, it only takes oxygen to say the word reboot. It doesn't take thought. All right. But when you start thinking about time is a valuable commodity. When you start thinking about money and not getting as much return on your money because people are still warming up to your kid, and especially if, like I said, these goofy rumors are true that we're taking Momoa from the milk magnet that he is, and we're going to make him Lobo. You're going to put a shirt on the milk magnet hunk that the women want to see. You're going to put makeup over that hot face that they like. Okay. And as we've seen with Black Adam, it doesn't matter, if it's an IP that no one knows, they're not going to see it. All right. If it's a DC IP that no one's ever heard of, you are going to struggle to make that cheddar. All right. It's just, if it's not Batman, it's not Superman. And please don't throw Guardians of the Galaxy at me again, because I'm going to throw it back at you like I've always do. The talking raccoon doesn't make cash without the other Marvel movies. The talking tree that says one line doesn't make cash without the other 25 Marvel movies. It just doesn't happen. Like I said before this afternoon, if you come into my office with a proposal for the talking raccoon and the talking tree, and absent all the other Marvel movies, I'm going to think you're playing a joke on me. I'm going to think, and if that for some reason I fall for that joke and I greenlight this movie, I'm getting fired. All right. I'm getting Howard the Duck out of my office. The same consequences and even if it's a great movie, even if you give me Scorsese, and Guardians of the Galaxy was a great movie. The first one was, the second one sucked, but the first one was great. It doesn't matter because things being great only matters if people care about them and you can get them to see them. All right. It's just like word of mouth. People say, well, the word of mouth will do. If nobody is going to see your movie in the volumes that you need to see them, then you need a certain amount of word of mouth to make it to get that push. So these words that people throw around on Twitter, on YouTube, and all these other things, they have consequences to them. And all I'm saying is, if he does flip this switch, there are going to be consequences, even if I'm on board with the move. There are going to be long-term consequences. You may not have movies that jump out of the gate great. And whoever says this, if you're screaming reboot, if you're screaming all this, then I don't want to hear shit about box office for a while, because there's a good chance with this upheaval that it's going to take you time to build up box office that are recognizable numbers to what people always associate them with. All right. So if we go rebooting, or we start doing Small and Blue Beetles and Lobos without Supermans and Batmans involved, and we start doing that, and I don't want to hear anything when these movies are $300 or $400 million. Don't want to hear nothing. Go ahead.
My opinion is this, and I see a lot of in the chat. I see a lot of people talking about, reboot good, reboot good, reboot good. I'm going to agree with William on this. Reboot not good, and that's part of the problem with DC over the last 20 years. It's reboot after reboot after reboot after reboot after reboot.
And Film Goblin, but if these movies, the movies that before they disrupted the system were making money. All right. They were making money. They weren't making $1 billion because they hadn't built up to that yet. And their idiotic expectations should have never been there for them. I don't care what anybody says. Those movies were making money. Man of Steel made money. Batman versus Superman made a lot of money. All right. They were on trajectory if they would have kept their plan going to where they would have averaged between 800 million and possibly $1 billion for the movies going forward. We're probably within the 78, which would have been good money depending on how you adjust your budget. They decided to pull the plug on that trajectory. They shot themselves in the foot. So the movies were making now the bullshit that they put out isn't making money because nobody gives a shit about the Birds of Prey. Sorry. Nobody, there's a bunch of characters nobody heard of. And even Harley Quinn, as popular as she was, couldn't pull that over. Pandemic, and that was pre-pandemic. All right, the Suicide Squad. I mean, you could blame the pandemic, but somehow Godzilla versus Kong found a way to make money, and it was day in and day release as well. You know, when you put out no-name characters that nobody knows, then you can't expect people to jump into it. Though the movies that Hamada and them put out didn't make money. That's why they're gone. But if we go back to what was making money, and those guys are still available, do something with that. I mean, let's see.
Sorry about that. I'd gotten a phone call.
That's all right.
What I was trying to get to when I was saying, reboot after reboot after reboot after reboot, that's been the problem with DC. And that's why there's a lot of DC apathy. It's because there hasn't really been a solidified like storyline for things. People want structure when it comes to these things, especially if you're going to make a franchise out of it. People want structure. People don't want this changing every 5 years. And the difference in DC and Marvel is Marvel hasn't done that in 12 years.
Yeah, we're going on 15 with Marvel now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's so here goes. Otherwise, if they don't do a reboot, then they need to continue the Snyderverse and resolve it. That to me is, regardless of whether you're a hardcore Snyder guy or not, that to me is even if you want to shorten it up, give me a credible ending. Because you know what, my greedy ass, if I'm investing money into WBD and I want to be making money off of all the content that involves that. And once you start a reboot and it's been shown throughout every medium, you decrease the relevancy of the stuff that came before. Whereas if you do a resolution, you could your lineage could go straight back, even if you decided to go on. The name of the game is paying bills. I still want to sell physical media, and DC physical media does do well. I still want people watching this stuff on HBO Max. I still want this catalog to be able to be thrown on TBS and TNT during NBA, before NBA and all that, and before hockey. I still want these movies and shows to be able to be shown, on all these little channels so I can get the ad revenue. I still want to make that cash. And the problem with whenever you reboot something, you are basically saying that's not worth watching. Why even waste your time watching that on free TV? Why even waste your time going to Walmart and getting that glow-in-the-dark set when all of this kind of means nothing now? We're on to this new thing. So what you do is you give yourself a resolution that makes everything that you have seen relevant and everything that you're going to see relevant, because the job is to make money. And fans don't realize when you throw away on that name, that word of reboot, you're throwing out money. Make that money. You know what? So yeah, I agree with you. Like I said, resolution. I've never been necessarily restore the Snyderverse, resolve the Snyderverse, and then after that, I can trust you now because you've shown me that you can finish something. You've shown me that you can commit, start, beginning, middle and end. Now I'm ready to give you because my money hasn't been wasted. Right now, if they do a hard reboot, you wasted 9 years of my time. Yeah, I enjoyed those movies, but I went to see those movies to see the story. And you never gave me the complete story. So why am I trusting you? All right, let's see. Oh, RJ's in here. You know what, RJ? I sent you a link, man. You're gonna take snipes at me
Yeah,
in the chat, but you won't come
I
up.
always see the word reboot and hear cop out, you know, or like we don't know where to go with the story from here, you know.
All right, RJ. No, this is false. That will make. Listen, they're not stupid. The general audience isn't a bunch of donkeys that just you teach tricks. All right, I gave you the maybe because I'm behind in this chat. This is 17 minutes ago. If you beating the Marble Knucklehead, Marble Maniac, or your old name, but the general audience knows the difference between the product being second tier and another product being top tier. And it's only for the reason that they have gotten their payoff for what they put into one product. Marvel has given them their payoff. I can't attest to the quality of some of their stuff, but when I started this Marvel journey, I was rewarded with a payoff. And I was not left wanting. Quality wise, maybe, but as far as the story goes, the general audience looks at this, like I said, and the general audience has seen these DC movies. What causes apathy with them is because they didn't follow through. All right. And rebooting is not going to help that. Rebooting is basically going to make, are you fucking serious? If I'm somebody with hard-earned cash and you just cut me short without any resolution, you cut the major storyline short and gave me a bunch of B-level bullshit, and now you want me to you want to, just because you were going to start over again, you expect me to trust you? No, you've wasted my time and you wasted my money. And that's the kind of apathy you don't need. You're applying the kind of apathy that we feel. But the general audience it's about frequency when it's a general audience. It's about frequency and recognition. And the reboot is not going to solve that. All right, because you've taken away the advantages of your frequency and your recognition because you already have recognizable IPs now. The only thing you need to fix right now will be the frequency of what you're doing and not having Superman for 5 years. That's what hurt you. Not the Superman that you haven't had for 5 years, not having him on the air for 5 years is what hurt you. And it's ripping the Band-Aid, like I said, for people who have no money in the game. That word gets bandied about. But like I said, a stockholder, trust me, these guys are going to get called to task. They're not fans. All right. The stockholders that, these golfers that are spending this money and these financiers that they go to get these monies to leverage in these advertising partners, this is not going to fly. If these movies come out and they've set, how corporate knuckleheads are, they set stupid ass expectations, and there's no way you're going to reach these expectations starting over an entire universe. So yeah, reboot. I say reboot and stupidity are synonymous because most people throw that word out and they don't think. It's like somebody who hears a word on the commercial and thinks they know what it is, and so it just rolls off the tongue. But they're not the person that has to pay for it. They're not the one that's gonna. That's not. They're probably like not the one that's gonna finance it and take a loss on it. And as far as even the casual fan, all right, nobody wants their time wasted. And if you have a history of wasting people's time, that's your baggage right there. All right. If you have a history of not following through and essentially wasting people's time, because that's what you would have done. I mean, the general audience they're not dummies. All right. Some of the general audience have seen enough of these movies and they know that they got no into it. So, like I said, why would I give you new money when you have never ever proven that you're worth it? All right. You're in HBO Max zone for a while. I'll see your movies, but I'm not going to shuffle the family and get them into the van and pay all this money to go see it. I pay $15 a month for HBO Max. I'll see you in 45 days. That's what you risk. You know what? So yeah, the general audience, they're not like Pomeranians waiting for you to, say roll over and I'll give you the snack. They know. The general audience knows when they've been left out in the cold. So yeah. Now, okay, so now here we are with semantics, RJ. The reboot is inevitable. It's a matter of when the 10 years. Reboots is, everybody uses this word, and I'm not knocking on you personally, but reboot, bury the fucking term reboot. Find a term that is relevant to what you're doing. If you're not going to, what you're talking about, what you literally described as a transition, that's different. If you come out and say, we're going to use these 4 movies to transition into something, give you a logical, incredible transition into something, that's probably going to save your bacon and buy you years. But if you just say, hey, at the end of these 2023 movies, so a lot of it is going to depend on how it's done. And like I said before, ultimately, you may have to do this, but there are things you can do to make it a credible transition. Because if you just cut and dry right now, that's going to piss even the general audience. They're not even going to piss them off. They just won't engage. They'll just feel like they will quietly walk away. And then you know what? The ones that quietly walk away with their money in their wallets, in their pocket, those are far more devastating than the toxic guys, than the 1%ers. At least you know what we're thinking. They'll just be like, they'll never engage you again. You'll never know why they left. You'll never know why your movie didn't make that money. And they'll be like, and I hear it all the time. I had people who turned down free the Batman seats because they're like, they keep restarting it. How many Batmans? I'm 30 and I've seen 3. And they didn't even want to wait for my explanation to make the case. And so every person like that I don't even have a chance to engage and try to change their mind about, there's 3,000 or 4,000 other people that will never even have that conversation with themselves or me. They'll just say, this or that, I pick that. And that's all. You'll never hear those guys. So inevitable, a transition should be inevitable, because I'm beyond 100%. I don't think it's fair for him to inherit the Snyderverse and have to be forced to go forward with it if he does not want to. All I'm saying is you give yourself a much more solid ground to stand on and jump off of if you do some type of credible transition into something else. Bring the fandom together. Bring all of us to be the guy that makes it so that increase your tent. We're all out here with money. Don't say no to anybody. All right? Don't say no to money. I want the new money and I want the old money. But I have to have the credibility with the new money that I'm not going to leave them hanging like I left these other guys hanging. I need the money from the old money, but the only way I get that is to resolve the thing that we had them buy in on. I want all their money. The reboot and just totally cutting things off has consequences that really affect both levels, and they're unnecessary consequences to go through. Just because someone else mismanaged these IPs doesn't mean someone else can't manage them again. But like I said, if James Gunn comes out next week with his Bible and he lays out a plan where whatever he's saying is relevant, I'll put down my old bone and pick up his new one. At the end of the day, he's the storyteller. I hope he doesn't do a hard reboot because, like I said, I think it's a trust issue at this point. But if he's going to, boy, his plan better be good. His plan better be Scorsese, Ridley Scott, Steven Spielberg, all in one, because that's what it's going to take to distract us from that debacle. You're going to have to come out with something that is like literally, the sliced bread equivalent. And I'm open to that. You know what? I'm open to that. I understand. He said it in his tweet that there's going to be things that we don't like, that we're not everybody's going to get what they want. But if he's committing to the story, and if he gives us something that these other guys did not do the entire time that they were there, you give me a plan. If you're going to tell me to move on and you give me something kick-ass to move on to, all right. So I hope there's not a reboot. I think the term reboot is stupid. I think it's ignorant. I think it's lazy. I think it's become a niche term that people who don't understand the consequences of reboots just like to throw around to make themselves seem smarter. And I'm not attacking anybody in our chat that are watching right now, but I think in general, it is a term that people really don't understand what it means. All right, it's a lazy hit the reset button, hit the alt delete key on your computer, and that's it. And we'll start back up in a couple of minutes. It just doesn't work that way, especially if you're DC, especially if you're DC, and especially if you have a bad history of doing intergenerational resets. All right, this is the last company that really wants to banny about that term lightly. If it has to happen, fine. But at least I think James Gunn understands more than anybody the consequences of a reboot. Fanboy logic, they just say reboot, reboot, reboot. It's like I said, it's like a fucking parakeet that learns a new word and just keeps saying it until you give them another new word to say. All right, that's all I feel about it. Hi, RJ. Yeah, he doesn't want to come on. Hey, when are you going to be able to talk on air again? Damn it, I know you got a tonsil X me. Okay, great. All right, cool. What, a couple of days? Sending you links. You don't want to come on. The Batman and the Joker's kind of considered reboots. They did well at the box office. So, no, that's no comparison, Film Goblin, because you're talking about rebooting an entire universe that involves several superheroes interacting in a multi-picture arc. All right. What you're doing is telling a different story outside of that universe. All right, when you're talking about a single character, you can probably get away with it, and you can only get away with it if it's the mainline character that has attraction anyway. You couldn't do it with any other characters outside of Superman or Batman, and to some extent, not even Superman. So you're talking about resetting an entire universe that already has movies going about it, that already has a running storyline, as opposed to the reimagining of one single character. All right, that doesn't have a complex story surrounding him. All right, there's nothing to have bought into with Pattinson's Batman. There's things that have been bought into with the DCE or the DCU. All right, we're talking a lot more hours invested. We're talking about something that was started in 2013, and we had to fight to get the heart of that movie released. That is no comparison to the Batman. All right, and Joker without the controversy, without I remember we promoted Joker, and the bomb sniffing dogs and everything else was there, and people thought that there were going to be people shooting up the theaters, could be threats involved. There was a lot of media attention that surrounded Joker prior to Joker happening. I'm not saying that it wouldn't have made money, but there was a lot of hype around that movie that just wasn't there. And even still, you cannot sustain a studio with standalones like this. If you're going to do DC studios, you cannot sustain DC studios on standalones. The frequency of standalones is such that 3 years, it averages 2 to 3 years between every one of them. That's not going to do it. All right, it's not going to do it. And these standalones only appeal. There's a lot of people I know that go see DCU movies that will not see Joker. There's, I know a lot of people that are Batman fans that will not see the Batman for whatever the reasons that they have. It's just not their thing, and they are of the normal superhero digestion of seeing Batman, Superman, together and all that. So you're talking about the resetting of an entire universe that nearly a decade has been put into versus a standalone movie that no one had expectations for one way or another. Don't think they're the same. Hello. No way they're rebooting without getting a big goodbye to the current cast, i.e. the Snyderverse before rebooting. Who knows, man? I hope there's some type of resolution, and if you don't resolve it, you need this next thing better be literally Oppenheimer's best experiment. All right, good luck explaining switching the cast to 7-year-olds who are following the continuity without big story transition to reboot if they're rebooting us. Not even 7-year-olds. Good luck explaining it to 30 and 40-year-olds because they're the ones paying for it. Aaron Pritchard. Hi, Aaron. Has anybody watched that Megan and Harry? No, I have not. I've heard a lot about it, though. I don't know if
I watched the first episode of it, Aaron. And I have a lot to say about it, but I'm going to finish.
We ain't covering that.
Oh no, I will probably cover it on my channel here in the future.
They'll tear us up.
Well, you guys talking about those people?
Yeah, Yeah,
I watched the interviews. So.
I will probably talk about it on my own channel. I have a lot to say about that, having grown up in the UK. So
ROCK in the US. Okay. All right, sorry. I probably will watch it at some point. Mighty Racks, the box office of the upcoming DC movies will dictate the direction of the story. I hope so. I mean, and that's the way. That's fair enough. That is fair enough. If that's the case, then that should. And you know what? This is where our game is called. Call me on my bullshit. I better support these movies. And anybody who wants to see this going forward should be supporting the current universe to give, especially if it's taking place within the current universe. But unfortunately, here's the thing: you got 2 no-name movies of the 4 that are coming out, and that's a big ask to tell people go see Blue Beetle, to go see Shazam, to go see Black Adam. I mean, it's a tough ask for me. No brainer. I'm there. But for the general fan, I don't know if those movies have the reach. I just don't know. I mean, people tell me that Blue Beetle is going to be great and that's going to make a lot of money, but I have a guy that is lesser known than The Rock, and he couldn't pull a movie over 400 yet. So, and here we go again with a character that nobody knows, and expecting people to put a whole bunch of money without supporting movies around it. It'd be different if we were releasing Blue Beetle and Shazam after a Superman movie, or if we were releasing Black Adam after a Batman movie. Big difference. But with no supporting movies around it, I don't know. It's going to be tough. Yeah, the kids are going to read cross your cards because they're not paying for anything. It's the adults that are going to think twice, because the adults are big kids too, and they want to be able to hand this off to their kids. And like I said, now you're talking about multiple generational wasting of time. I mean, somehow, some way, they have to prove to people that they're not going to waste their time. That cannot be overlooked. If you have a history of wasting people's time, you got to prove to them that your next step, whatever the hell it is not going to waste their time again. It's going to be a harder ask to do if you are doing a reboot, because right then and there, I mean, everything that you watch, we're killing it. So if you're going to do a hard reboot, you're going to have to make a case for that new money, because you've already thrown away the old. I am Poindexter Lounge. Maybe you are. All right, Black Adam fell apart because the general audience has apathy toward DC brand. Yes, that's true, and they just don't care about the current status of the universe. They're more excited about standalones. Once again, math is killing your argument here, RJ. All right, math is killing your argument, because there's no frequency that you could produce these standalones in that would justify not having a connected universe. It's just not going to happen. Black Adam failed in part because the general audience doesn't know who the fuck he was. 2, yes, the DC brand has been damaged, but it's been damaged by the stupid shit. It's been damaged by reboots. It's been damaged by inconsistency. It's been damaged by not having Superman for 5 years. All right. They do care about this. You can't say that they don't care about the status of the universe when you've given them no content to be. And I'm not talking about C-level characters. You can't tell me that that they don't care about the universe when we don't know, because we've given them nothing to care about. We've given them B and C characters when we know the DC fan gravitates to the big trinity. That's why David Zaslav made it a priority. That's why James Gunn made that tweet saying that Superman may be the biggest priority, or I'm paraphrasing. So, like I said, the Batman, great. I'll see you in 2024, 2025. When was the last one released? So we're talking about, if we talk about the Joker, the Batman, and their sequels, we're literally talking about 4 movies in a 3.5 to 4 year period. That is not going to cut it. You better have a shared universe if you want to generate that money. And if you're not in the business to generate money, then why are you in business? Go make movies for a non-profit studio, for a profit studio. Go invest in and fledgling directors if you're not here, but they're here to make money. They didn't drop $43 billion on this company to not make money. And there's no way you can make the type of money that is necessary with standalone movies. All right, whether the audience cares more for them or not, it's your job, if you want to keep your lights on, to make them care about everything else. All right, Larry, Resident Justice, they may watch but won't care about it. Remember, it's kind of like Justice League. Yeah. All right, if the movies are good enough and exciting, though, the kids and everyone on board. Like I said, I'm sorry, but I keep hearing this. There's been plenty of good movies, no matter what the genre is, that bombed and cost people their jobs and went straight to direct and all that, because the packaging, and in this case, it's the DC universe, wasn't generating enough buzz for people to care about them. There are lots of movies that were good. Making a good movie, and I keep telling people this because, like I said, fanboys think that just if you make a good movie, people are going to come see it. That's bullshit. All right, sorry. That's part of it. That sounds good on a Hallmark card. If you just do your best, people are going to show up. If you build it, they will come. Yeah, all right. That shit works with Kevin Costner working out of a cornfield. All right. The reality is there's a lot of good movies out there that fail because they're not promoted properly, or the timing of their release is poor, or the advertising campaign is mismanaged. There's a good movie, being a good movie, in a lot of cases, is about 25% of the effort that makes a movie a success. All right. Because if nobody comes to see your movie, then guess who's not spreading the word of mouth? All right. If nobody knows why they should go see your movie, then guess what? All right. You end up with a movie that, with the 7 or 8 people that got to see it, they highly review it. That's great. That's the only time when that actually doesn't get people fired is when it's an Oscar movie, like a Don't Worry Me, Darling, or any of these other high end pinky ring busts that happen every year that end up getting nominated and winning Academy Awards and end up making their money back on the back end because people see them after that. But when your job is to generate buzz and generate money before people even see your movie, you better have that buzz generated. The perception of your movie and your franchise is twice as important as the content of the movie at this point. All right. There are plenty of bad movies out there, Thor, Dark World, that make good money because the machine is rolling. Thor, Dark World wasn't a good movie. There are several MCU movies that are below par, but that made really good money. So it's the flip side. The good movie part is almost, like I said, 25% or less, because there's shitty movies that made a lot of money and there's really good movies that didn't make anything. If your machine is not working, if that interconnected machine is not rolling, especially when it's a franchise, you're dead in the water. You can have your good movie and the 18 people that go see it, great. I'm glad you had a good time. But we're in the business of these studios are in the business of making hundreds of millions and sometimes billions of dollars. You can't chance it on just the quality of the movie all the time until you get your reputation to the point where you can do that. People will give Marvel the benefit of the doubt because they've seen enough good from Marvel. But DC movies, Blue Beetle could be literally Casino, Robert De Niro level. Nobody's going to give a fuck if nobody sees it. All right. It won't get another one if it doesn't make money, no matter how good it is. It can have a 100% critic or audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes. All right. And nobody will be paying attention to that if it's a bomb, unless it's an Oscar-worthy thing. So, yeah, the movie's been good enough. Yeah, that, like I said, sounds good on a Merry Christmas card or a cliche Kevin Costner movie. But the reality of it is it takes much, much more than it just being a good movie for a movie to be a success. That's just the law of averages. RJ, I think they just need to solidify what they have going and then go forward with new stories, changing everything and starting over without a story to facilitate it won't make sense. Yeah, and like I said, maybe James Gunn has a way to do it. I don't know. And like I said, I yield to him. He's the storyteller. But he knows what he walked into. All right. He knows that the damage to the brand is not a quality damage. It's a trust and perception damage. And reboots do not help your perception. All right. They do not do that for you. So if you're going to do it, you're only going to get one swing at this apple. There won't be a second chance here. So I'm leaving it up to him. And like I said, blow me away, James. All right. We need RJ. And the reverse, yeah. All right, Toronto Freddy. I think requels are far more active desperation over reboots because the requels are. I think. Are you saying prequels? Or you mean prequels that are generally retcon all the films that followed up the original Halloween? Oh yeah, no. That in that case, I agree with you because the last Halloween trilogy, two of those three movies are garbage. And yes, even though it was a John Carpenter production, that first one, I really disagree with him retconning Halloween 2, which is one of the great horror sequels of all time. Halloween 2 was epic and it's legendary, and they retconned that. So that's a different situation, though. Flash is going to come out and create a perfect opportunity for the reset and end the current storyline, start a new one. I would hope that they don't rush it and try to rush it within one movie. If they do, I have to see how credible it is. I know they've unlocked the film, which, like I said, the film was never locked or something like that. I was hearing for months, it's locked. You can't change it. They're not doing anything. And now I'm hearing it's unlocked. So like I said, and they have James Gunn deserves that from me to see how this plays out. That's why all these people that are jumping off the cliff, when they hear half the news, I need to see a little bit more, and I need to start seeing these movies to see where he's going. And I want him to give me a little bit more to go because, like I said, perception and hype is the good movie thing. Like I said, have yourself a merry little Christmas and hope your movie's great, but that only sounds good in the bullshit sphere. In the reality sphere, where bills get paid, you got to change the perception of your movie is like the takeoff point. If we're not hyped up and excited about these movies months before they come out, and you haven't laid that game plan out, people aren't going to go see them. Right? It's just a matter of you got to 90% of the job is getting you in the seat. At that point, then your great movie takes over. Then you can put things on autopilot. But if you can't get them to the seats because you're fighting a perception problem, then the reboot's not going to help you because you have nothing to go on. But if it ends up being the Flash, and if they end up doing it that way, that's cool. Just give me don't hack job some shit, but give me a nice smooth transition that when I get up there, I'm like, I'm happy with everything that I've seen so far because I saw some good shit in the last 9 years. You know what? Even if it was mismanaged, I wanted, as bad as DC was managed, I still want to see the Dark Side arc resolved. All right, that doesn't change. Go ahead, Thade.
Okay, so here's the thing. We can chat this out till we're blue in the face. Okay, until Gunn comes up with what he's doing, we don't know.
Yeah,
we're in the dark. Okay, and I think that I think honestly, and this is just my opinion. Take it however you will, but I think we beat this subject to death, like over and over and over and over, trying to rehash, and we're just saying the same thing. Okay, a lot of us want the Snyderverse finished. I also agree with Jose Agar. The whole evil Superman thing's been overdone. Okay, I played that game already. I've got Injustice 1 and 2. Okay, I get it. I get what Zach was trying to do, but
should have been allowed to be finished though, because if he would have allowed to be finished, we would have been on. We would have been moved on from it.
Well, yeah, of course, and I agree with you on that. I've said that before. If we'd gotten a chance to get it's like Stella and I have said many times. If those 5 movies had been finished, then we'd be past it by now. We wouldn't be beating this like a dead dog. Okay. But the thing is we are.
Because like I said, it's the nature of the beast and it's human nature simply because when you do not give your customer a resolution, they create their own whatever. Yeah, and sometimes it's not good.
Exactly. But the thing is look, there's a whole lot of going on.
Yeah, I agree, but you can't. It's hard to tell somebody to pay attention to something they don't want to pay attention to. I understand what you're saying, but it's just like we're those kind of animals, unfortunately, and that we kind of started our own fire. Let me see. DC hasn't. Go ahead.
Honestly, I think I'm outside of it because I gave up on DC a while ago.
That's true.
To me, this is just same old, same old. And I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm not. I'm just like, until James Gunn makes a move, we know nothing. And as for Krampus,
and I like that. To be honest with you.
And as for Krampus, in the chat, you want me to say worst episode ever? Okay, you're making me out to be the Simpsons comic book guy. Okay, well, this is just for you. Worst episode ever.
Of what? Of what? I'm missing.
He's saying I'm like the Simpsons comic book guy.
Oh, look, kind of
worst episode.
Right. I don't watch. I'm sorry, guys. I don't watch The Simpsons anymore. It's been years. DC hasn't really rebooted either. They kept the same universe since 2013 with a couple offset movies like Joker and the Batman. The difference between that universe didn't push a big story. Those were like movies that didn't push anything, which is why you don't build your universe on standalones, because if you're wanting to make money, you need continuity. And those movies, even though they made $1 billion, that's great. The studio got half of that. And in Joker's case, it got less than half because Amada fucked them over. But the problem with okay, so when you say rebooted, but yeah, all right, it hasn't been rebooted a bunch of times, but you've gone a decade without resolution. That's almost worse. But yeah, let's go ahead and I have other stuff on my
and that's the problem. It's the resolution, like you said.
That's it. That's all I want.
You know,
animation, sock puppets. Give me
animation.
I will take animation. Some of the diehards will be like, no, it has to be this, that. No, I want it into the story. If you end the story, you're gonna do. I can't. You're taking away my major criticism of you. If you end the story credibly before you move on, you take away. You shut me up. Yeah. All right, so let's see what I've covered. I've covered the trades being garbage. I did that right off. For the most part, garbage. I covered James Gunn. That's James Gunn pushing a stone uphill. I've covered that. I think we've covered that ad nauseum. I don't know how many of my wrestling geeks are here tonight. I don't recognize some of our people, so I'm just going to go back to the chat before I hit. I watched Ring of Honor today, and I thought it was excellent. You know, some of the matches.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch that yet, but I'm going to watch it later.
You know, yeah, man. What's pussy? Sex, you know what? Women in the 30s had babies and they were back out working in the field. They'd have the babies on Friday and then they were back doing the wheat and driving the tractor on Saturday. I don't want to hear it now.
Hey, RJ, just growl through it. Just get up here with us and growl through it.
Hey, take some Robitussin.
Yeah, Robitussin cures everything.
Yeah, just kidding. Get well soon, little dude.
Get well, man.
Yeah, because I trust me, I have not been feeling it these last couple of days. All right, here we go. So let's go ahead and get to some of them. Oh, okay. Yes, I can't argue with you there.
You're not wrong.
Back to the Future, one of the worst logistical time travel movies of all time, did better time travel than Avengers Endgame, and they even joke about how that. So yeah.
Hey, look, we have.
How old is your doggy?
He is almost 3.
Oh, wow. He's got about 30 years on him, man. Little dogs live forever.
Yeah.
My parents are general audience, and they don't want a new Superman again. Yeah, it's just, in H-Part, yeah. It's just we want some continuity. But once again, to wrap this situation up, I got RJ, because like I said, I sent him a link. He could have been on here saying this. You could have been typing in those little things that recreate your voice, RJ. A lot of people didn't even see the movies that came out between 2018 and 2022. The universe never even set up the big theatrical payoff. Whose fault is that? What story did the DCU set up theatrically that we need to pay off for? Yeah. I wanted to see the Darkseid story or wrap up the Earth War, where the end result of the Superman, where we would have gotten the Superman that everybody wanted to see. The him coming full circle was his responsibility, being a little bit happier and healthier and all that. But I wanted to see that journey completed. I wanted to see the Flash do his thing and keep going back. I wanted to see that. I wanted everything that they were leading up to is what I wanted to see. Everything that they led up to in Batman versus Superman, I wanted to see. You know, even with Steppenwolf coming out and they didn't have Darkseid in the Justice League, I knew that's like the Silver Surfer coming. The coming of the Silver Surfer means the coming of who?
I wanted to see Flashpoint.
You know what? And maybe they'll find a way to incorporate. You know what? I'll give them that opportunity. But no, there is a lot left on the table, RJ. And those movies from 2018 to 2022 were shit. Why? Because look who was managing those movies. You know, the previous regime fucked up a lot of things. And like I said, I think that the damage that they did is even though they're gone, it's still like somebody shit on the carpet and you just can't get that stain out. And now you want to cut out the whole carpet, which may be the way to go. Daniel Martin, thanks for showing up. How are you doing? Yeah, it would no H Marts, no. Hot Tub Time Machine is circling the drain with Dude, Where's My Car? And if you
I agree, both are good movies. Both are great.
Type back in here saying "Dude, Where's My Car" is a classic. I'm no.
Oh, by the way, another great movie, William. This Is the End.
Oh my god. Fade. I just don't know what to do about this. I never know when he's gonna hit technical difficulties. That movie was fucking dreadful. You knew you were going out of that one.
I just watched it.
Oh my goodness, I just don't have time. Okay. The only storyline we need to pay off is Snyder's Justice League story, but how many people in the general audience checked out the Snyder cut? Even but here's the thing though, how many people's checked out the Snyder cut is not relevant. The Snyder cut is there on another revenue stream of mine, HBO Max, and if I'm a stockholder and if I'm running Warner Brothers Discovery, I want you to subscribe and go see HBO Max. So guess what? When I make these other movies, if I make them in that universe, that's a constant commercial back to everything I got on HBO Max. If I get a new MILF magnet that sees Aquaman 2, just because they got dragged to the movies and they want to see more of their MILF magnet, guess what? Guess what I got on HBO Max? I got 3 or 4 movies with him on there. All right, you like Cavill? If you get impregnated by him making his own personal gaming tower, and you're just now seeing a Cavill Superman movie, guess what? I got a couple of movies on HBO Max. See, everything. This is money. Everything new leads to everything old. I can continue to make money.
They allowed HBO Max back on Amazon again.
Yeah, that's a huge deal, by the way. I was going to bring that up, but I forgot to get the article. That's a huge deal. That's like $300-400 million a month deal that they were missing out on. But how many people in general audience checked it? Like I said, how many people that have checked it out now is not relevant. If I go forward with this, that is literally a living, breathing commercial for the Snyder Cut. All right. Even if you go forth with Justice League, there's enough in Justice League for you to go back and literally at that point, Justice League is a better advertisement for the Snyder Cut, which is a better grounding for anything going forward. So it's like a cycle of completion there. So that to me, that question answered itself. But all right, okay, H bar. It's yeah, we need to do a history show one of these days. Once we get all this, yeah, none of us want to, and I really believe that, and I think they understand that too. So let's go down to, you know what, RJ? I thought you took some medicine. Hey, listen, dude. I hope this Marvel thing I understand Kang. I can tell you everything about Kang, every one of his incarnations, his newer incarnations, his original incarnations. But this is the Marvel Clutterverse. Sometimes they explain these things perfectly. Sometimes they don't. And when they do their own thing, which they have the right to do, this sounds like it could get confusing. This whole multiverse and
There's an article there, William. Got it sharing down there.
Is that the Amazon one?
Yeah, it's the HBO Max Amazon Prime.
Let me get a couple of more of these chats and then we can read it because I got to go pee. Even if nothing else happened, we got Kang and the multiverse blowing up in Loki. That's literally a through line moving forward. And that's what I mean. These are the kind I love Loki. I know a lot of people, are mediocre about I love Loki. I love the character development in Loki, and you did that in 6 episodes. I like the character development from the moment he drops into the TVA and his friendship, even though I think it was a little bit rushed. They could have used him a couple more episodes. I think that I love the line at the end where Morbius asked Renslayer, "You asked me if I had anywhere else I could go, or if I could go anywhere else. How about where I came from? I had a jet ski, and I mean I just really love those characters." So I'm here for the ride. Whatever they want to do, I'm fine with. But I think there's a lot more evidence and good reason for them to reboot. I do not. If they don't, that's fine too. I'm with you, but I lean towards them just not wasting. To me, it's about money and momentum and good resolution. I just think that there's so much money that the previous regime has left on the table that's still within reach. Like I said, you put up a perfect scenario, RJ. The people who haven't checked out the Snyderverse, that's money for me. That's money for me to still make. Because when I put the MILF Magnet out there again, and they find out if they're not subscribed to HBO Max, then I get them to subscribe because they'll do it. And guess what? When I show these movies that are connected to these movies going forward, not only do I want you going back watching these movies on HBO Max, but when it's time for me to sell these movies to other broadcasters and get ad revenue, I have all this content that gives me leverage. So little guys like me pay up the ass for commercials, but that's how these companies bring in their money. That's how a television station makes their money, is on ad revenue. So I put everything that we've done in the last 9 years back into the atmosphere again because I got the new stuff connected to it. I'm getting them to watch HBO Max. I'm getting my stock prices is going to be do a little bit better because even if you don't increase your subscriptions, if you maintain and don't lose, a lot of times that stability helps your stock climb. So I'm increasing the value of my app, my company, and I'm making more money off of content that I just have sitting there. It's just sitting there. And if you just let it sit there and you move on in a completely different, unrelated direction, it's just going to sit there and its value goes down. Superman, Cavill value, that he's still old enough to play this character. We could still generate revenue off this character. It makes no sense. Be greedy. Sometimes greed is good. And you're looking at this catalog that is literally still relevant. Everyone that's in that catalog is still acting and making movies in your universe. Just make that money. Squeeze all that money and all that excitement out of what you have in front of you before you go on to something else. That's like the steak analogy. You get a 16-ouncer that's good. Rip that meat off the bone before you go into the other steak. Don't just take 2 bites and say, "Oh, there's another one on the table." No, be greedy. Be greedy. Take everything. And right now they have an opportunity to make all their content relevant while transitioning to other things. Because guess what? If you transition, you're taking me along on this new ride a lot easier than you would if you do this, hard reboot. But like I am with you here, whatever he decides, I have more faith in him than I have in his predecessors. And if anybody can pull it off and anybody has the vision and the tolerance to pull it off, it would be James Gunn. I just hope that the corporate people who make all this happen are as patient as some of the people who are throwing around the reboot word. Because like I said, I really don't think people understand what they're throwing out there. It's just a word to them. All right. Let me know when you're back, Dave, and I'll hand this article over to you. Dave Faber, okay, you're back. All right. Go ahead and bring up that article, and I'm going to go ahead and I'll take this off. I'm going to go ahead and use the restroom. I'll be right back.
All right. So HBO Max is coming back to Amazon Prime Video channels, which means you can subscribe to HBO Max through Amazon Prime. It says here, after more than a year since disappearing from Amazon Prime Video, HBO Max once again is available for subscription to your Amazon account. The price remains $15 a month, and you'll still have access to all the things you'll find on HBO Max if you subscribe to it directly. And you'll again be able to watch it through Amazon Prime Video app on whichever device you want. New this time, however, is that the full HBO Max library is on board, not just the linear or live shows from the various HBO channels. Anything and everything on demand is here, all inside the Amazon Prime Video app. The removal in August 2021 was more inside baseball than anything, and good for headlines as AT&T's desire to get rid of the Warner Media was one of the worst kept secrets in Hollywood. Regardless, you're still able to get HBO Max any number of ways, either directly or through services like YouTube TV. It's only a matter of months before all will change again, with the HBO Max branding expected to go away and be replaced with something new after the Warner Brothers Discovery merger. The leading candidate for that appears to be just Max, but nothing else has been announced as yet. In any event, today it's all about HBO Max and Amazon Prime Video. Warner Brothers Discovery is committed to making HBO Max available to as broad an audience as possible, while also advancing our data-driven approach to understanding our customers and best serving their viewing interest. Today, we are thrilled to take an important step forward by announcing that HBO Max is returning to Prime Video channels. Bruce Campbell, Chief Revenue and Strategy Officer of Warner Brothers Discovery, said in an emailed press release. The nomenclature gets a little confused, but Amazon Prime Video channels is the mechanism by which you can subscribe to other services within Amazon Prime Video. That means you'll first need an Amazon Prime subscription, and then you'll pay extra for all the Prime Video channel subscriptions you want. Many are just a few dollars a month. HBO Max is definitely on the more expensive end of the spectrum, as you'd expect. We strive to offer customers the best and widest selection of premium content available for their everyday viewing experience, said Sim Sibe, Vice President of Prime Video. It's truly been a milestone year for Prime Video, and we are humbled by the viewer engagement and critics' response to our marquee releases. Now, with the addition of HBO Max, you can easily add to enjoy even more award-winning and fan entertainment on Prime Video. So basically what this is saying is, just like several other channels, HBO Max will be available on Prime Video again. But this time, unlike last time, it'll be the full catalog. So we've got that at least. Okay, so and now I am big face on the channel again. That's great. So Daniel, they could horribly so. But I hope they don't. I honestly think that James Gunn and Peter Safran will do much better than the previous regime when it comes to DC films. James Gunn has proven time and again to understand comic books. I mean, I know a lot of people have a problem with his humor, and yeah, it gets a little much sometimes. But I think that he probably has the best way to go about it.
All right,
they're basically saying that unlike the last time that HBO Max was on Prime, they're going to have the full catalog on there instead of just the live stuff. So,
yeah, this is the day. Did you go over the dollar amount? Because that's huge, man.
Yeah, $15.
No, I'm talking about the revenue that they were missing out of per month. If you look at
like 5 million or something like that.
Yeah, that's so 5 million times what's 5 million times 12?
Yeah,
that's a lot. That's a lot of cheese, man.
$1 a year,
Yeah, I can't believe that they couldn't have come to this deal sooner, because that's just fucking insane to be missing out on that kind of cash. I mean, damn.
Okay, Jose, just to answer your question there, we don't usually talk about other YouTubers on this channel, but I will say this. He really, really does not need to tussle with James Gunn on that. James Gunn will know much more than that.
Because there was a lot of people tussling with James Gunn today. What's who? I'm late on the chat. Where's this down at the bottom?
Yeah, I'm going to type it in the back chat so we don't talk about other YouTubers here.
Okay. Yeah, you know what, Jose? I know I'm with Jose on all other channels, Film Junkie and everybody else. I try to stay off that track, not because I don't, I'm not dismissing you guys, but it gets really, really ugly. And I try to provide a place where people can come. There's so many streams that everybody restreams each other, and what's that snipe streams each other, and I just don't want to do that. I mean, it just brings down the value of the conversation, and that's why we try to still steer it away from there. Like I said, when we're other environments do that, and that's that. I'm not knocking them, but I will never put another YouTuber in my thumbnail. I try never to bring them up unless they're part of our network, or they are a guest on our show, like Nicotina, like when we have Film Junkie on here. I just try not to do that because there's just no value in the conversation. So we just try to steer away from that. And I'm typing to a customer right now. So yeah, it's midnight here in Vegas, and we still got people on their way. That's hilarious, ain't it? But yeah, the Amazon thing is big. I mean, that's just how mismanaged Warner Brothers, under Warner Media was mismanaged, to the fact that
it's in the back chat there, William.
Okay, I'll check it out. It's just weird. So yeah, I am happy. I am happy. Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. This whole thing has been silly. I will briefly bring that guy up, and it's the only time that I will ever bring it up, and it will be a moratorium from this point over. The guy from Den of Nerds. Listen, I think he's being silly, and I would wish James Gunn would not, hit punch low. That guy is smart. He's in it to get clicks and views, and he's doing it. I think it's silly. It's an old trick. It's an old Howard Stern Baba Booey trick, but he's working the game, and people are engaging him. And when instead of just moving on from him, they got a joke cracked at him. I mean, James Gunn cracked a joke at him. I thought it was kind of funny, and he didn't get offended. He's monetizing that shit. That's the culture we're in right now. So yeah, I saw that, and like I said, I'll bring that up just to address that because I did see that and I thought it was hilarious. But yeah, as a general rule, I try not to bring up other YouTubers, but yeah, that was silly. Wrestling. This is where I wish RJ could still talk. Hurry up and see. It's not fun having a. Yeah, I hope we're going to be able to see that tomorrow, Clint. I'm going to see if I can get out early because I really do want. I promoted the movie, gave away gingerbread headless cookies for that movie, have posters, and I haven't seen the movie yet. I sent people to see a movie that I haven't seen. I hate when that happens, but my schedule is so.
And just really quick, Ian, William. The only thing I will say about Josh is that I think he complains too much when it comes to Star Wars, but.
That's a lot of people. Let me finish this. No, thank you. Yeah, it's okay. Jose, Darkseid is the big bad everyone knows, and the story that they can lead to him, but it won't be Snyder's story. Be honest with you, I mean,
Daniel, that just shows our age.
If it should be. Because he laid a logical groundwork for it, and to redo that and to reintroduce Darkseid makes no sense. I am going to get together and I'm going to make a special video about this because I have a way that I would like to see this wrapped up, and the way I'm talking about would give whoever's doing it space to do their own thing. It would resolve a lot of things and allow you to still make the money off of things that are there. I'm going to put it together, and I'm going to put together a slideshow. So I'm going to address this, and it'll probably be either tomorrow or Tuesday. But there's no reason to rebuild that storyline. You already have that story there. If Darkseid is the big baddie, then you do not need to waste time or money retelling that story. It's already there. Now, how it ends, fair game. And the beauty of not rebooting and you don't have to come back and refer to the Darkseid story. You have years. The way both Justice League and Zack Snyder's Justice League wrapped up is they were done with him for now. He still has to find a way to get his armada through the multiverse and back to us. That could take years. So we could be building other stories until then. So,
Hey, William, I've never gotten a chance to ask you this, but what is your opinion? Darkseid or Thanos? Who's stronger?
Darkseid. There's no competition.
Even harder than Universe Thanos?
No, I mean Darkseid is a new god. He's literally. I mean, he can literally do a lot of the things that Thanos has to get augmented to do. He can do on his own. I mean, Thanos is a joke, basically. In my opinion, and even with the Infinity Gauntlet, he was even dumber with the Infinity Gauntlet. Look how he loses it. I mean, so let's, yeah, sock puppets. Yeah, a sock emoji. I love it when you guys use emojis to illustrate your point. How far in the chat am I?
You're way behind. I'm just going to answer a couple of questions. Marcus Cruz says, William, do you want the MCU X-Men actors to be in their early 20s, mid-20s, or late 20s, early 30s? I would actually like to see a young X-Men in the MCU. That's my personal opinion.
It depends on where they bring up the story. I mean, I personally would like to see the original X-Men, and then we grow over because that gives you a lot of times to evolve the X-Men. you could start out with the original X-Men and then get to the point where you're getting the Wolverines and the Colossuses and stuff like that. There's a lot of story to tell with the original X-Men. So that's just
we've never gotten a movie with the original 5. And like I said, if we could get one where they're young, all 5 of them, just starting out with Xavier or whatever, that would be great.
All right, I'm going to work from the bottom up. That way I don't fall behind. Cool trick. I know sometimes I think it's a good idea. Sometimes it happens. The light bulb is above my head. You know it. If they don't use Darkseid now, it'll be forever before we see him again, because fans majority will be use Zach's vision of him, and I hope they finish Zach's story, whether he's directing or a producer, or he didn't even need to. I just if he just puts forward his treatment, his script, he could be the scripter and still get his executive. But to have that Darkseid out here and to have it be as good as we saw, and not to use that would be a complete waste. And that's one of those things that damages the brand. All right. Seen any good movies lately, William? What was the last movie I saw? Was Black Adam the last one I saw? I think Black Adam was the last one I saw.
Didn't you see
in the theater?
Didn't you see the violent one?
No, that's what I mean. I'm going with Clint tomorrow. Hopefully, we're going to go tomorrow to a late night showing. I've heard good things about it. We were tired of origin stories when MOS came out. It was a hard. I agree. The story is stranger depending on who is writing. The stronger depending on that's true. Darkseid exists outside the multiverse, so if it has to be that's enough. And when I do my script, I'm going to do my wish list script. I'm going to have little pictures and everything. I'm going to put this because somebody asked me the other night what I would do, and I already had something written down and typed down how I would do this, and it leaves options for everyone going forward. If you wanted to recast going forward, you could. If you don't want to tell an origin story, you could. And if you want to make the past, present, and future still relevant while still sort of rebooting, you can. A lot of it is what they're thinking about doing with the Flash, but I have a different plan with the Flash that I would implement, and I thought it out. Everywhere I go, I've been thinking about this plan. So I'm going to put it together in slideshows, and with little pictures so that you guys can get it illustrated. But I do have Darking outside of the multiverse and the New Gods as well being outside, and we haven't seen Metron yet. That's a good point. If you want to keep your brain cells, don't listen to anything that guy says, Krampus. Who's that guy? Is that the guy we were talking about before?
Mikey Sutton.
Oh,
Weston.
Those are names we don't bring up. Listen, I don't have the animosity against any person or any other YouTuber, but I know that these particular names are polarizing, and I just try to keep that polarization out of my yard. I can respect what they do.
Hence why we don't talk about scoopers here.
Yeah. All right. So we can. Okay. Yeah. I got to skip that. Yeah. So am I. And I love that actor. Right? David Harbour, dude. Stranger Things season 4 is awesome. If you guys are watching this, you haven't watched it, Dave? You haven't watched it?
I've got to. I got backed up, man.
It's great. The story. It is a clinic in storytelling. I mean, it is. Yeah, you got the Howard Stern reference. Yeah, you're a senior just like me.
Yeah, that's why I said That's why I said. When he mentioned the Howard Stern reference, I said that just shows our age, Daniel.
I know. You just exposed yourself as being near geriatric. Yeah, no worries, Jose. I mean, I know you may not have been up there when we kind of set this rule, but you've been all over. You know why we have to set a rule like that. So, all right, so I'm caught up that way. So let's go down back to the bottom because, wow, you guys are bringing them in. DCWB needs to release 5 movies a year. We have almost a decade to catch up to do. Yeah, and not just for narrative. Money. I think a lot of you guys think about it as far as a story and all that goes. And I'm thinking about it because somebody who runs a business and makes money off this content, I'm thinking money. You want to generate revenue, and the more revenue you generate, the higher your stock goes up, the more debt you pay off. And once you have a debt management, if you're bringing in $1 billion a year or more, or $2 billion in 3 or 4 movies, and you're paying off the debt that you accumulated when you buy off, your stock prices go up. So if your stock prices go up from $11 to like $20, you would literally just double the value of your company. And now you can leverage things. So yeah, these things have to work, and they have to work frequently. That's why I'm against the standalone model. because you cannot maintain that frequency with so few movies. All right, guys, it is 12:16, and yeah, okay, I will go over Wednesday because that isn't my thumbnail. I did not think I was going to like this show. I mean, I am not a huge Tim Burton fan. In fact, I think Tim Burton's still one of the most overrated figures in Hollywood. But I don't knock people if you love him. He does your thing. I mean, he's made some movies that I love, but he's made a lot more movies that I just had, I was not really into. And he gets a lot of hype, and his effect on movies is different because if he's not directing the movies that he's influenced, then it doesn't turn out too well for me. Wednesday
was
none of the above.
Wednesday
was awesome.
Jenna Ortega is just continuing to prove she is an awesome actress.
Even though she was spreading COVID when she did that kick-ass dance. That's cool. That's fine. That's fine. That dance is cool.
That wasn't on her, though. That was
the producers. The producers knew. They had the opportunity to shut it down, but that's fine. I have people asking me who the Cramps are. Rest in peace, Lux, because he died. That lead singer died back in 2009. Yeah, and people didn't know the Cramps. That song's a 1981 song, like a little bit older. So yeah, that's like a 42-year-old, 43-year-old song. So, and you damn kids are just coming here. Hey, did you hear that new song that was on Wednesday? There's a new song. You ever heard Goo Goo? Like, fuck you. All right. That's like coming to me with the Running Up the Hill. I'm like, that song came out in 1985, and that's a new song. Who's this Kate Bush thing? She's in her 60s now. Thank you for finally noticing her.
And it wasn't even her best song.
No, Wuthering Heights is her best song. But yeah, I think I love the show. I mean, I love the look of the show. I think Catherine Zeta-Jones plays a perfect Morticia. That Gomez,
is freaking amazing.
Yeah. I did not recognize what's his face? It's Fester, Fred Armisen. I did not know that was him until I looked it up on my thing where it let you know who the actors are. He's excellent.
Yeah.
He's excellent. The girl, Enid. I mean, I loved all the characters. And the protagonist or the antagonist, I will not tell you guys who it is. Towards the end, when you finally figure out, and you could probably call it from a mile away, but once you figure out who he is, he has a soliloquy at the end where he basically, yeah, it's me. And the way he does it is like, wow, I just wanted to slap the shit out of him, and he was great. I love Gwendolyn Christie in this.
Yeah,
there wasn't too many things I didn't like about this, and I thought I was going to hate this. So Wednesday is highly recommended, guys. If you haven't had a chance, it's on Netflix now. You can stream all 8 episodes. But I loved it. We're not going to go over Final Battle today because, like I said, I need a wrestling wingman to talk wrestling. We might talk Final Battle tomorrow. And after I'm gonna do a review of Violent Night. I know it's late, but I still want to review it, so I probably will be on the air tomorrow. But I don't want to talk I want to talk wrestling. I put it up there, and I was ready to go talk Ring of Honor, but we went over. We're like at 2 hours 19 minutes, and I got to get home because I'm not at home. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. But we will talk again. And thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for the super chats. Thank you guys for your responses. Thank you for the input. We don't have to agree on everything. This is a fun topic, and I want to keep the type of atmosphere that you guys feel like you can put in things, whether I agree with it or not. You're part of the show. You're part of the topic. So thank you guys for coming in. And I have done it. Once again, I have been successful. I have successfully shepherded you from December 10th to December 11th. Another NFL Sunday. I do not watch the World Cup, so I'm only watching one type of football. There is Lakers are playing today. The bitches better not lose. And hopefully by the time I see you guys again, I will have seen Violent Night, and like the rest of the people that I've got on. Oh, by the way, for those of you who are local, if you are local that's watching, congratulations to those who were sending the Avatar on Tuesday. I will not be there, not only because of my schedule. I'm not going to go see that movie. I'll see it on Disney Plus. But All right, Dave, you got anything else to put out?
No, just thank you everybody for joining us, and we appreciate it. You guys be safe.
Okie dokie. See y'all later.